So I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 during opening night, and I was rather disappointed very much. And I'm sure you guys are getting the assumption that, in my point of view, that it's an entirely bad film and there's no redeeming quality about it, which isn't all that true, despite there being some pretty good things in the aspect of filmmaking. But there's a lot of things in there that just my overall experience was a pretty underwhelming one. More or less having a discussion with you guys on pointing out the 8 reasons why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a non-satisfiable film. And just a massive warning before I go into my reasons why is that I will go into heavy spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, I suggest you go watch it so you know what I'm talking about. Other than that, here we go, let's get into why. So reason number 1, the Marvel jokes. Which I'm pretty sure that's a bandwagon approach to knock off points for the film, but whenever you hear or read a review from someone just out there in the world and they're saying, there's way too much jokes in the film, well, they aren't entirely wrong on that. I mean, it's quite a staple in Marvel that they have to be the cool kid on the block that everyone loves and makes quips all the time, but this time around, they were making jokes at the most inappropriate times. By that, I mean like the characters would get into these very deep and emotional character moments that really give you the chance to stand behind them as a character until another character steps in and just completely ruins that by saying something sarcastic. Now, one example would be when Yondu and his crew, they go against him because he was going too soft, and he was talking to Rocket Raccoon on how this Ravager community just dropped him entirely. He was really going into depth on who he was as a character, until that moment is completely buried by Rocket Raccoon when he interrupts him and says something sarcastic. And then Yondu kind of continues on with the monologue and treats it as if like it never happened. It's like the film never knew where the breaks were when it came to these really heartbreaking and tear-jerking moments for these characters. It's like they just had to say something witty in those moments. It's just a confliction on a particular tone that they were trying to go for the scene, but hey, you know what? I'm all good for jokes. But for a necessary scene, when moments like these, that's when they're out of place. So reason number 2, unnecessary plot devices. So there's quite a few when it comes to this topic, and one of them is the introduction of the Sovereigns, or what you may know them as the Gold Antagonists. And their whole point of the story is to basically show that the Guardians of the Galaxy are a team for hire to basically do anybody's dirty work, and they're hired to take out this huge tentacle monster that you may have seen in the trailer, only for Rocket to later steal batteries from them, causing them to get pissed off and have this huge manhunt against them. All because Rocket stole some batteries. Now, I totally get that these are genetically modified perfect species where they can joke around with you, but you can't joke around with them, but they were so bad to the point where they really overstayed their welcome. It would have been cool if they were to show up just for a little bit, just to kind of show you what the Guardians have become and this reputation that they have built all across the galaxy, only for them to be side antagonists that really got in the way of the main storyline. But that's okay, because they're gonna show up in Volume 3 as main antagonists because of Adam Warlock. Yay, we're gonna see more of these people. And not to mention that whole Taserface story arc where the Ravagers defected against Yondu, because hey, you know what? I'm all for Yondu having a really cool cinematic moment to himself, but what does that do for the Guardians as a team? Taserface lasted like 10 minutes and the Sovereigns were popping out throughout the film here and there. It just didn't make any sense. But hey, don't forget, Volume 3, the Sovereigns are gonna return. Damn it. Okay, so number 3, the amount of green screen. And I know what you're thinking, like, how can you make a Marvel movie without having green screen here and there? You know what? I'm not entirely against green screen. I think it's cool, but when it's used the entirety of the film, that's a problem. Now, tracing back to the original Guardians of the Galaxy, there was actual production design and sets that felt so natural to the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe, and it really helped on what made Guardians of the Galaxy one of my favorite Marvel films. But the fact that, for one, the entirety of Ego's planet, the Sovereign planet, and even the forest where Rocket Raccoon stays behind to fix the Milano, it's all green screen. It felt so artificial. The original Guardians actually put in the work to bring these sets to life, like on Xandar or Nowhere, or even in the Kiln. It was all actual production design. Well, I mean, green screen here and there, but once the Guardians were on screen, it was all sets. But when everything is just green screen after green screen, it just doesn't feel natural, and I'm pretty sure the actors knew that too. I, for one, love a great production design in a science fiction film because it really does show the hard work and effort being put into the filmmaking. I don't entirely feel that when it comes to green screen. Okay, so number 4, a messy story. Now, the ideal of having a sequel being made from a highly successful film is to up the stakes for everybody and put everybody to the test in which the original builds on these characters. I didn't feel that from everybody. I will admit, once it got to the Star-Lord's heritage story arc, I was totally invested. But once it got to the Sovereigns and Taserface and the whole Ravager's story arc, it just totally lost focus on the main themes of the film, which are being a family and fatherhood. There was literally a moment where after Star-Lord meets his dad and he goes to his planet and he's showing him all this cool shit, and then Star-Lord pops the question, if you loved my mom so much, then why did you leave her? Basically causing like Ego to pause for a second, and then the film decides to skip over to the next scene following a different story arc. It was quite a poor choice on the editor's part. Kind of felt like a TV special where like a character is saying something very pivotal to the story and then it's later cut by commercials. It happens quite a number of times whenever these story arcs are being executed. They'll say something and it will just cut to the next scene. It just lost touch on the main themes of the film. Alright, so number 5, the soundtrack. Now to make it clear, I love all these songs that were playing in Awesome Mix Volume 2, but I can only say that there's only one song that really fit on what was going on within the film. And those were the intro credits. Right when Baby Groot puts on ELO and he starts dancing, I'm like, oh man, the soundtrack in the film, it's gonna be so awesome. But then we get the inconsistency that is known as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now once again, I'm gonna go back to how the original Guardians of the Galaxy did it. Whenever it would play a particular song, it absolutely fit what was going on within the film. Whether it would be Star-Lord listening to these tracks as a child or him listening to the music on a ship, it all just felt so natural. Instead, with Awesome Mix Volume 2, they were just playing the songs just to play the songs. Now don't get me wrong, I love this type of music, but the way that they were playing into it, it just didn't feel as natural as Guardians 1. But when I look at the songs of Awesome Mix Volume 2 and how it's integrated into the story and how it plays into the emotions of the characters or just what was really going on with the film, I didn't really feel it in this one. Again, have a purpose on why these songs are in there. I mean, I get it, it's a mixtape, random songs and everything, but there is a better way to approach that. Unfortunately, Awesome Mix Volume 2 did not live up to the hype, and I was very saddened by that. Okay, so number 6, a flaw in Yondu's character. Now, I remember walking out of the film, and I absolutely loved what they did with Yondu's character, him being kind of like the father figure to Peter Quill that he never had instead of his actual biological father, until I later realized a scene from the original Guardians of the Galaxy that, oh shit, Yondu almost killed Peter Quill by shoving his arrow through his neck. Like, he was on the verge of whistling to make that happen. That's a real father figure right there. Now, from what I understand, this film takes place a couple months after the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, you're saying within a couple months' time, Yondu went from almost killing Peter Quill into becoming his father figure? My, what a change of character he really did have for Peter. I will give it to him. He did have the best line in the entire film, and that was, he may have been your father, but he sure as hell ain't your daddy. But God damn it, I always think of that scene in the original film. Is that nitpicking? I mean, yeah, sure, but there is that flaw that does conflict on how Star-Lord views who his real father figure is. I mean, if I was him, I would have said, yeah, you're gonna try and kill me a couple months ago, but now you're gonna be my father? That's what I would have done if I was Star-Lord. Okay, so number 7, the final battle. Once it's revealed that Ego was the main antagonist of the entire film, and then he says, oh, it was painful to put that tumor in your mother's head. Which built a pretty interesting outcome on how Peter Quill just unloads bullets on his dad because, hey, you know what? What man wouldn't if they were to come face to face with the killer of one of their parents? Which was very reminiscent to Civil War on how Iron Man finds out that the Winter Soldier killed his parents. I'm just saying. The Guardians get caught up in this whole fight, and then the fight between Peter and Ego takes a very bizarre turn. It's like they went complete Super Saiyan and then just started flying around and throwing each other like rag dolls. It was weird, man. Like, imagine if it was just a straight up shootout between Star-Lord and Ego, and Star-Lord's trying to survive and the Guardians is just trying to find Ego's weak point within the planet. And once they do that, it'll lead to Ego's downfall and his death, and still keeping that space western vibe that the series is built on. But nope, we get CGI Star-Lord and Ego just tossing each other around like rag dolls. And I remember watching that and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Then he just turns into a giant Pac-Man, just eliminating that entire moment where Star-Lord finds out that it was his dad who really killed his mom. You would think that emotion would build. Instead, it just goes back to the whole jokes problem. It was all over the place. Okay, now number 8, not enough Baby Groot. God damn it, I wanted more Baby Groot. Where was Baby Groot? I wanted more Baby Groot. That would have saved the entire film. Not really, but I still wanted more Baby Groot. Now, all jokes aside, like, did I absolutely despise the film? Of course not, but I am aware of all the problems that this film has where I can legitimately say that this is not a great film. If you're the type of person who absolutely loves Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, then go ahead and continue to love it because you found something in the film that didn't really appeal to me. Which is absolutely, perfectly, 100% fine because it's an opinion, guys, and trust me, It's okay to have an opinion. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was my third most anticipated film of 2017, and seeing it as a film that just left me scratching my head once it was over, that says quite a lot. Now, will Marvel make another disappointing film later down the line? I'm pretty sure they will, but it's just, I wonder what the next one will be. Okay, so I'm sure that you guys have seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I want to know what your thoughts are about the film. Did you like it? Did you hate it? And if so, why? Let's have that discussion down below. And if you like this video, be sure to follow me on all social media like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that social media shit, links down below. Keep in contact with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, guys, may the Force be with you.